My name's Mark and I'm the Learning Officer at the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists. And today I'm just going to take you through the RCSLT website and the CPD diary, just to help you get the most out of both of them. So I'll start off with the RCSLT website. And once you've navigated there, the first thing you'll need to do is log in, because that will enable you to access all of the members only content. So you just click this login button up here in the top right, and it will ask you for your username and password. Your username will be the email address that you gave us when you signed up with us. We don't have access to your actual password, but if you do forget it, you can either use this forgot your password link at the bottom there, or you can email us at info@rcslt.org and just ask us to reset your password for you. Either way, once you're logged in, one of the easiest ways of navigating around the website is to use this yellow menu button up here. You can use the search as well, but to get directly to the section that you need, the easiest place to start is the menu. And first of all, if I show you the guidance section, so the clinical guidance is specifically for clinical conditions. So things like aphasia, dysphagia, stroke, any kind of clinical condition will be under there. While delivering quality services is more kind of the skills that sit behind being a speech and language therapist. So that'll be things like communicating effectively with patients, parents, families, caregivers, things like that. It's also a good way to help you understand how to meet the HCPC standards. And there is a whole section on that as well. But if we start with the clinical guidance, it's laid out alphabetically just to help you out. So if you know you're looking, say, for stroke, you can just click the S and head straight to the stroke pages. All the pages have a very similar overall framework. So there's the general guidance section, there's the learning section, there's the influencing section, which just provides kind of stats and bits and bobs to help you influence locally if you need particular services in your area. And there's also an evidence section, which goes hand in hand with the influencing section. Again, it's the area where kind of the most relevant, most up-to-date articles, stats and information are kept on that particular clinical area. So as students, that's quite a useful place for you to start if you're writing essays, because that will give you an idea of what research you can have a look at, kind of where to direct your reading. If we then have a look at the delivering quality services section, it follows a similar setup to the clinical guidelines area. So it's laid out alphabetically, but again, you can just scroll through if you'd prefer to. And there's just areas such as having difficult conversations that will just help out with, as I said, more kind of the soft skills that sit behind being an SLT as opposed to specific clinical areas. So that's the guidance section. And related to that is the research area. So again, if you're doing essays and bits and bobs like that, obviously you'll have your university logins, and that is likely to have the vast majority of the articles you need. But do remember that as a member, you have access to nearly 1,800 other journals and collections that maybe just has the bits and bobs you need to polish off essays, stuff like that. So if you're looking for a particular journal, what you can do is scroll down and click on the journals section. And likewise, that's set out alphabetically. So if you know the title of the journal you're looking for, just find it in the letter list and you'll be able to access it from there. There are some other useful sections within the research submenu, such as evidence-based practice and disseminating research, research methods, and also a COVID-19 section, which contains research specifically on the impact and effects of COVID on SLT and SLT services. So again, if you're writing essays on anything to do with the coronavirus outbreak, that could be a really good place for you to find some targeted research. Outside of that, and just to mention, if you'd like to access previous copies of the bulletin, you can do so using this link up here. So you can access the bulletin archives, and they go back a few years now. And you can also access our bulletin archive, which has anything prior to the start of 2018. The last couple of bits I wanted to highlight on here, which I think are more useful for students and NQPs. There's the learning section, which has a lot of useful information as you transition from being a student into an NQP. And again, at the moment, there is a specific section on coronavirus. And also your career section. If you'd like to have a look at the NQP goals and you don't yet have them in your CPD diary, if you access the NQP section, you can find the goals under the RCSLT NQP goals page title. And that just lists them out. And there is also a downloadable version as well in Microsoft Word if you just wish to have them on your desktop. So at this stage, I'm going to take you into the NQP diary instead. You access that again via the main RCSLT website, but you use this button here. So it's got the stick figure outline on it. You just click that and then select CPD diary. And the diary I've got here is an NQP version. So the NQP diary has the RCSLT NQP goals automatically populated in it. If for any reason when you access your diary as an NQP and they're not there, just let us know because we can get those imported for you. And the way you use this is you assign activities, like CPD activities that you've done, against the relevant goal, which shows that you can meet that standard. So, for example, the first communication goal is all about communicating with people in a manner that's consistent with their level of understanding. So that could be when you speak to patients, it could be speaking to parents, carers and families, and it's just about adapting your communication to make sure you're not using too much jargon or oversimplifying for people. You can add an activity directly from the goal, so you just hit that button there. And once you've got a good range of activities that demonstrate your ability to meet that goal, you can request approval, which sends a note to your supervisor to say that you think you're done with it and you'd like them to have a look through and hopefully sign you off on it. You can do that per goal, so you don't have to wait for all of them to be done before you can submit one or two for approval. So if there's a couple that you've already got a lot of evidence for, you can get all that saved on there, submit it for approval. As long as your supervisor's happy with it, they'll sign you off on it and you don't need to worry about it anymore. You can also message your supervisor using the messages function. So that could be if you want a little more guidance from them on whether the evidence you've already assigned to it is enough. If maybe you're struggling to think of things you can add to it, you can check with them if they've observed anything that you've done that they think would help you to evidence that goal, and essentially just help you get signed off and out of the NQP stage as soon as possible. In terms of adding activities, like I said, you can add it directly from a specific goal, or what you can do is use the add an activity button up here instead, if you just want to add an activity and then assign it afterwards. So if you click that, you just need to give it a name. So make it something that will make sense to you in maybe 2 weeks' time when you've forgotten entering it. I'll just use test activity. And you can either attach it to a goal here or you can assign it later. It is completely up to you. You don't have to attach it immediately. Either way, just hit the save button. And if you attach it to a specific goal, it will appear under that goal. If, like me just then, you didn't assign it to anything, it will appear in a new category, which is activities without professional development goals. And you just need to click on it, and then you can add the detail in. So under type, these map exactly to the HCPC CPD activities. So if you want more information on those, they're available on the HCPC website in their CPD standards section. You add a brief description of what you did, so it doesn't need to be a blow-by-blow account, just a quick overview of what happened. The date that the activity took place, so let's say today, and the time it took. So if it was, say, watching this video, that's going to be about 15 minutes, which you can enter in here. If it was something a little longer, like watching an RCSLT webinar, they're between 45 minutes and an hour. So just put in, obviously it only goes up to 15-minute intervals, so put the nearest amount. And then make sure you hit update once that's all done, and you'll get this green banner to say that it's been saved. You also need to add your reflection in. So the what did you do section is where you go into a little bit more detail about what it was you did. Obviously, if it was just watching a webinar, just say, I watched a webinar on X subject. What you learn is where you discuss what you learned that you didn't know beforehand. So again, for things like webinars, that could be, if you've watched our dysphagia webinar, it could be to do with a new way of dealing with dysphagia and helping the patient through it. But yeah, just what you learned from that experience. What you now do differently, or what you intend to do differently now you've got that new knowledge. So again, using that dysphagia example, it could be that you will approach dysphagia care a little differently next time. And then you need to enter who's benefited. So in general, that's likely to be your service users, as most CPDs should be focused around improving the level of care you offer. But it could also be colleagues, it could be peers, it could even be your manager. Again, once you've entered all your information, just click update, wait for that button to come up, and then you're good. And finally, you can also add documents and links. So if you've completed maybe a face-to-face course and received a certificate, you could scan that and upload a PDF of the certificate here just to prove that you did the course. And the same for links. If it was, say, a YouTube video, something like that, you could add a link to the video in here just so that everything is in one place, so that that CPD activity you did where you watched a video, you can access it from your record as well. Once you've added everything, you can just exit out of it using the button up at the top, and it will save it up here. And in a nutshell, that's how you use the diary. It is easy to use. If you do need any further pointers, right down at the bottom in the footer, there's a CPD user diary guide. So the NQP one is built specifically for people using the NQP version of the diary. And of course, if you've got any other questions at all, just get in touch with us at info@rcslt.org. I really hope this has been useful for you. Like I said, if you have any further questions at all, you can email us, or you can use the Contact Us form, which you can access through the menu and then under the Contact Us page, where you can enter in everything you need in relation to your question, and then just make sure you click send us a message at the bottom. Thanks for watching, guys, and like I said, let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Thank you.